We're picking up talking about David and Samuel. We've been in First Samuel for quite a long time, getting acclimated with David, learning about him, the do's and the don'ts when it comes to this journey. We're learning from his mistakes. It's such a game changer. It's such a cheat code for us to be able to look at the men and women of God and learn from their mistakes. That's why it's so important that we should read the Bible. Because some of these mistakes and trials that we're going through, we wouldn't have to go through. Because we see the David going through some of the same stuff that you and I are going through. So where we're picking up is King Saul has been chasing David for quite a long time. And it seems like David's life has gotten worse since he's been anointed king of God's chosen people. So he's running. He's been running for quite a while. Lived in 7 different places. He lost a whole bunch of stuff. He lost his job. He had to leave his job, walked away from his family, walked away from his wife, walked away from the familiar, walked away from his own way of doing things. He had to walk away from the sheep that he was tending in every day, little Pee Wee. He had to walk away from a lot of stuff. And when you are doing what God is calling you to do, sometimes you get exhausted. And we have seen David get exhausted before, for a little small amount of times. But for the most part, David has done a very good job up until chapter 26. And King Saul is keep chasing him, chasing him, chasing him. But my boy ran into some good luck. He ran up on Abigail. Yeah, he found him another wife. Abigail, the word says she's pretty. She's wise. She's beautiful. Her husband, died. So David did a good gesture and said, baby, I'll take care of you with your pretty self. I know you're a prayer warrior. I can tell how you talk. You got a relationship with God. So let me go ahead and take care of that for you. So Abigail, chapter 25, ended up marrying David. And that's where we go pick up tonight. For the ones who weren't here last time. Abigail, that's my baby. Yeah, Abigail. Have y'all ever prayed, God, why don't you just take it away? King Saul been chasing David for at least 5 years. God, if you so powerful, so strong, so omnipotent, omniscient, like why you keep letting this dude chase me from all these different caves, from my wife, from my best friend Jonathan? God, why don't you just either take it away? But I tell you what, you ain't gotta take it away. Why don't you just fix it? Why don't you just fix it, God? Why don't you fix this situation? Why don't you fix this struggle that I got? You're God. You can do anything. Why don't you just fix it? I prayed. I fasted. I'm going to church. I'm logging on to Reggie Taylor. Reflections of Reggie 3 days a week. I started fasting. I'm sacrificing. I stopped clubbing. I stopped drinking. I walked away from my baby mama, my baby daddy. What else? Now what else you want me to do? Why why don't you just fix it or just take it away? Let me tell you about one time. Before I tell you, let me tell you a little testimony real quick. I was in this situation before, sort of like David, but it was an employer for me. This employer that I was at was a very demanding job, physically, emotionally, mentally. And right before I started seeking God on an intimate level, I had just got promoted at work, right? A management position. So I was excited about it because I've never really ultimately been in management. But I didn't know when I took that promotion in corporate America, that was God making an announcement in the spirit. I'm about to take you to another level. So you got to pay attention to these things that happen in the natural. A lot of times it's God announcing, I'm about to do something I'm about to do something in the spirit. So you got to pay attention to stuff like that. So I took the promotion. But it ain't coincidence. As soon as I took that promotion at work, I got connected to the ministry that where I grew the most. I got connected to the ministry, drove up there first Sunday that I'm there. I'm sitting on the second row. The man of God pointed to me. He was like, man of God, the Spirit of the Lord told me to tell you that he knows some people in your life that has caused your heart to bleed. But God told me this is not the first promotion. He got many more promotions for you. Never met him in my life. Now, how you know? First of all, how you know my heart broken? Second of all, how you know I just got promoted at work? Hold up, bro. Who told this dude my business? Nobody. The Lord told him. Okay, so I get connected to the ministry, and this job is a little bit more difficult than I thought. It's attacking me physically. Now I'm used to physical fatigue, but I ain't used to this mental and this emotional, having to deal with people attitudes, phone calls throughout the night, waking up early. At Thanksgiving dinner, got two phones. I'm answering the phone for my personal phone. I'm answering it for work. I don't have no downtime. I'm always on call. I'm like, Lord, what is you doing? I'm going to church. I've even started fasting. I'm spending more time with you. Like, well, you got to fix this. So as I'm seeking the Lord for a resolution, go to church. The man of God pointed to me. He was like, Reggie, the Spirit of the Lord told me that he's working on your occupation. He's working on your employer. And they'll eventually be under your feet. I don't know what under your feet mean, but it sounds like to me I'm winning. You know what I'm talking about? So I was like, they're going to be under my feet. Okay, I'm straight. I'm good. Work getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Now we're under the threat of a union. So if you've ever been for an employer with an employee in management, you know a threat of a union make your job 1,000% worse. So the things come in, stuff is hell at work. I left one Friday. I said, Lord, I said, is this you? Because ain't no way I'm about to continue to work. I was on Indeed.com doing work, my boy. Indeed.com. I am through. This is too much for me. So I left the parking lot one Friday in the evening. I said, God, is this you? Because I'm telling you, enough is enough. I don't normally tap out, but I'm about to tap out for real. But let me tell you what the Lord did. The Lord reminded me of the prophecy that he gave me, because I didn't tell y'all this prophecy that I received by my employer. That was 2 years. So I had forgot. You know, sometimes God will give you a dream, a vision, a prophecy, and it don't happen. So you just forget about what he said. But the Holy Spirit will give you a prophetic unction, a prophetic trigger to be like, boom, oh, God said. Oh, yeah, I forgot. God said, you remember when Jesus said, Peter, you going to deny me 3 times. And then when the cock crowed, Peter was like, oh, yeah, David said this was going to happen. I forgot. Some of y'all forget, but the Holy Spirit will remind you. That's what the Holy Spirit did to me that weekend. So one of my friends told me, she was like, why don't you just consult with the Lord before you make a decision? So I consulted with the Lord. I may have did a little fasting Saturday, Sunday, and I called my employer Monday. I said, I ain't going to be there. I ain't coming. But during that 3 days that I consecrated, the Lord reminded me, he said, it's me. This me. You can't leave. I'm not going to fix it. What I didn't realize is God had me there at that employer for development. So he wasn't going to take it away. Not only was I there for development, but this is the most important thing. It pushed me closer to God. That part. See, a lot of us are jumping out of situations and circumstances, and you ain't consulted with God. You just dipped because it was hard. No, God said, I got you right here for development. I got you right here because this is pushing me closer to you, my boy. I got a question for y'all. What in your life that may not feel good, but is keeping you on your face? It's keeping it on your little forehead. Yeah. What in your life that may not feel good, but is keeping you on your forehead and your nose to the floor? It's keeping you closer to God. It's pushing you closer to God. You probably wouldn't be on here unless you had this thing in your life that you cannot seem to overcome. Could be a job like me. Could be your baby daddy, baby mama. Could be your kids. Could be a struggle. Could be a difficult coworker. Could be a bad doctor's report. Could be an unfixable situation. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. Jazz and marriage. Yeah. Very good. Let's talk about it. But before we dive into 1 Samuel 26, let's go holler at our boy Paul Wall. Paul Wall in 2 Corinthians 12. Paul Wall Jesus Jr. 2 Corinthians 12. Let's go talk to Paul right quick. Y'all ready? Intercessors activate. We already know how Paul do. 2 Corinthians verse 12. So again, this is Paul, Jesus Jr., an apostle of the Lord. What up, Minister Ant? Minister Ant, hey, I'm good. I'm covered by the blood, my boy. This is Paul, Jesus Jr., in my opinion, writing to this church, the church of Corinth. Very immature, carnal church, sleeping with each other, sons sleeping with stepmamas, all of that good stuff. They saved, but they still kind of carnal. But check this out. Paul writing to him, right? You know what I'm talking about? He talking to him. 2 Corinthians 12, 1 through 2. This is Paul. Paul is a beast. He didn't physically walk with Jesus, but he wrote 2/3 of the New Testament. So it says, this boasting will do no good, but I must go on. I will reluctantly tell about visions and revelations from the Lord. I was caught up to the third heaven 14 years ago. Yes, more than one heaven. Whether I was in my body or out of my body, I don't know. Only God knows. Yes, only God knows whether I was in my body or outside of my body. But I do know that I was caught up to paradise and heard things so astounding that they cannot be expressed in words. Things no human is allowed to tell. That experience is worth boasting about, but I'm not going to do it. I will boast only about my weaknesses. If I wanted to boast, I would be no fool in doing so, because I would be telling the truth. But I won't do it, because I don't want anyone to give me credit beyond what they can see in my life or hear in my message, even though I have received such wonderful revelations from God. So to keep me from becoming proud. I like that little part right there. I love that little part right there. Paul said, I'm going to read verse 7 again. I'm going to draw a little closer so you can hear me. Paul said, even though I have received such revelations from God, so to keep me from becoming proud, I was given a thorn in my flesh. Y'all see them thorns? There they go. I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger from Satan to torment me and keep me from becoming proud. These many times, 1, 2, 3. Paul said 3 different times I begged the Lord to take it away. Each time he said, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses so that the power of Christ can work through me. That's why I take pleasure in my weaknesses and in the insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I am weak, then I am strong. All Paul got right here is the Holy Spirit. But what I want to dig into in this 2 Corinthians 12, he said to keep me from becoming proud. Because Paul said, man, I went to heaven, bro. I saw all that stuff, bro. Stuff that they ain't never been heard of. I heard stuff. I saw stuff, bro. It's impeccable. But to keep me from becoming arrogant, to prevent me from becoming self-righteous, to prevent me from getting on social media talking down to folks, to prevent me from trying to condemn folks about the tattoos and the piercings and the purple hair and the BBL and to prevent me from getting that on TikTok talking about God gave me a thorn. Yep. I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger from Satan. What's a thorn? What is a thorn? Y'all already know what I went to. There we go. Let's see what my boy, the prophetic dictionary, Dr. Bill Hammond, said about this thorn. Y'all know I don't like reading fast, so I'm going to look it up. I heard what the pastor say, but I'm gonna look it up for myself. You know what I'm talking about? Because I want to see for myself. Because these jokers out here just be making up stuff in the pulpit. So I'll go research it myself. And I encourage y'all that anything that I say don't make sense, go look it up for yourself. Don't listen to me. I don't want you to be lazy. Don't take my word for it. A thorn is a biblical and spiritual symbol of troubles, the cares of this world, and spiritual affliction. Our Savior was marked with the crown of thorns, driven into his head to designate him. That's what a thorn is. But that ain't really hit like I wanted to hit. It hit a little bit, but it didn't hit the way I wanted to hit. But so I went to Google. You know what I'm saying? We love Google. And Google said, a thorn is something given to us by God to keep us from being conceited. It can feel uncomfortable, like torment. Read it one more time. A thorn is something given to us by God to keep us from being conceited. It can feel like, it can be uncomfortable, like torment. The thorn prevents the rose from being harmed. Torment. Hold up. This ain't even making sense. Like Paul, you in prison, Jesus Jr., raised from the dead, 2/3 of the New Testament. Bro, you're a beast. Like, you mean to tell me God gave you a messenger from hell? The math ain't math. And like, torment, why would God give you, why? But when I saw that term, torment, and we've been in 1 Samuel, right? That's the same thing that King Saul had. King Saul had a tormenting spirit on him. King Saul don't even believe in God, so why do he and Paul got something in common? Something ain't adding up. King Saul don't even have no relationship with God. He got a tormenting spirit. Paul over here doing everything God wants him to do, and he got a tormenting spirit. Let me do a little research. 1 Samuel 16:14, because I don't want y'all to think that I'm making this stuff up. Y'all ain't got to go there. But in 1 Samuel 16, I want to read it to you so you don't think that I'm just making up stuff. So 1 Samuel 16:13 says, so as David stood there among his brothers, Samuel took the flask of oil he had brought and anointed David with the oil, and the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David from that day on. Then Samuel returned to Ramah. This is after Samuel the prophet has anointed David king as a boy. Verse 14 says, now the Spirit of the Lord had left Saul. And the Lord sent a tormenting spirit that filled him with depression and fear. Some of Saul's servants said to him, a tormenting spirit from God is troubling you. Let us find a good musician to play the harp. Whenever the tormenting spirit troubles you, he will play soothing music and you will soon be well again. Okay. Saul got a tormenting spirit. But it says the Spirit of the Lord left him. Go to chapter 18. It still ain't quite making sense to me. Chapter 18, verse 8. And this is after David has defeated Goliath and Saul has become jealous of him. It says, this made Saul very angry because the women were singing, Saul unalived 1,000 and David unalived 10,000. This made Saul very angry. What's this? They credit David with 10,000 and me only 1,000. Next, they'll be making him their king. So from that time on, Saul kept a jealous eye on David. The very next day, a tormenting spirit from God overwhelmed Saul, and he began to rave in his house like a madman. David was playing the harp as he did each day, but Saul had a spear in his hand, and he suddenly hurled it at David, intending to pin him to the wall. But David escaped him twice. You know what? Paul got a thorn. Obviously, Saul got a thorn. But I never read this the way I read it today once I dove into it and the Holy Spirit came upon me. Could it be, just think about this now. Could it be that God was really looking out for Saul by sending him a tormenting spirit? A thorn? To humble him? To save him from himself? Did you ever think about that? People ask me, why God let a tormenting spirit come upon Saul? We think God was punishing Saul. But he probably was trying to save him from himself. Because check this out. I'll prove it to you. Because it says right here in chapter 16, it says, the Lord sent a tormenting spirit that filled him with depression and fear. Some of Saul's servants said to him, a tormenting spirit from God is troubling you. Let us find a good musician to play the harp whenever the tormenting spirit troubles you. He plays soothing music and you will soon be well again. Could it be God was saying, I'm going to let this spirit come upon you so you will stay in my presence? So you will allow my servant David to come in and play the psalms and play the harp for you. I need for you to stay in my presence, King Saul. I don't need you to get too far off into la la land. I don't need for you to get too far off in the world. I want you to stay close to me. So I'm going to allow this spirit to come. I'm going to allow this thorn to come upon you. Could it be? I didn't ever see it like that. But could it be God was looking out for Saul by sending him this tormenting spirit to prevent him from becoming conceited and self-righteous? Got another question for you. It's a thorn. Could it be God sent Saul to David to prevent David from becoming conceited? Could it be God sent Saul to David to prevent David from becoming conceited? Could it be that King Saul is David's thorn? Y'all didn't see it. Y'all didn't see it. I know you didn't. I ain't see it yet. They ain't see it, Holy Spirit. They ain't see it. Y'all didn't see it. Could it be that King Saul is David's thorn? David saying, Lord, please take it away. I'm doing everything, writing Psalms, trying to be righteous. I'm here to tell you tonight. It could be he ain't gonna take it away. Y'all they see it. He won't take it away. See, Saul is David's thorn and is pushing David closer to God. Remember what David is right now. The word says he's dark, he's handsome, with beautiful eyes, so he looked good. He looked good. He brave. He's a warrior. He's alpha. You can feel it when he walk in the room. You can tell from his aura he about that life. He confident. He defeated a 9-foot giant. You can't tell me nothing, bro. And he's the future king. And he got the women singing. Women all in the comment section. Women lined up at him when he go to church. All of them saying, this my husband. This my husband. So, yeah. He could be he could very well be arrogant with the amount of things that he got going for him. It's easy to become arrogant. Now, on top of that, he got Abigail. A beautiful wife. A wise, beautiful wife. He got Abigail from Nabal. You remember Nabal, the rude man, the wealthy man. He died, with a stroke. We see what happens when you are wealthy in this nation. We see what happened to Nabal. The word says Nabal was rude, crude, with a bad attitude, but he had a lot of money and a beautiful wife. Rude, crude, with a bad attitude. The Lord ended up having to take him out because he was such an evil man. Could it be God was trying to prevent David from getting to that point? And he was also trying to prevent Saul from getting to that point. He ain't gonna take it away. He ain't gonna take it away. It's a thorn, baby. Y'all ready to dive in 1 Samuel 26? It took me a while, but I got there. He won't take it away. Now some men from Ziph came to Saul at Gibeah to tell him David is hiding on the hill of Achillah, which overlooks Jeshimon. So Saul took 3,000 of Israel's elite troops and went to hunt him down in the wilderness of Ziph. Saul camped along the road beside the hill of Achillah near Jeshimon, where David was hiding. When David learned that Saul had come after him into the wilderness, he sent out spies to verify the report of Saul's arrival. We didn't forget, but Saul swore up and down he wasn't going to chase David no more. David actually spared his life. Back in chapter 24, he could have easily took King Saul out, but he didn't. Now Saul, back in chapter 26, chasing him. David got to be tired. He got to be exhausted to keep running from this man and keep being disappointed and keep being lied to. I'm sure he has said numerous times, God, why don't you just take King Saul out like you took Nabal out? Nabal died from a stroke. Why you can't do that to King Saul? They got the same mental. Neither one of them love you. Neither one of them got a relationship with you. Why don't you just take King Saul out like you did Nabal? It's easy. Come on, God, what are you doing? Let's tap into the mental of David right here where he's getting attacked by King Saul yet again. Go to Psalms 54, because this is the psalm that David wrote while he was in Ziph. Psalms 54. Because we trying to see what David's mindset is right here. So we'll know what to do when we get in a situation where God won't fix a situation and God's saying, I'm not going to take it away. Psalms 54. And this says right here, for the choir director, a psalm of David regarding the time the Zephites came and said to Saul, we know where David is hiding, to be accompanied by string instruments. It's only 7 verses. Come with great power, O God, and rescue me. Defend me with your might. Listen to my prayer, O God. Pay attention to my plea. For strangers are attacking me. Violent people are trying to unalive me. They care nothing for God. But God is my helper. The Lord keeps me alive. May the evil plans of my enemies be turned against them. Do as you promised and put an end to them. Put an end to them. Lord, take it away. Finish it. Take them out. Do whatever you got to do. I'm sick of it. Take it out. I'm finished. I'm sick of it. I will sacrifice a voluntary offering to you. I will praise your name, O Lord, for it is good. For you have rescued me from my troubles and helped me to triumph over my enemies. David saying, bro, come on, man. Bro, I've been running for my life. Like R. Kelly video, like when he was on that interview. I'm fighting for my life. Yo. Y'all remember that video? That's how David is with David. That's how David is with God. I'm fighting for my life. And you ain't doing nothing. You ain't, what you doing up there, boy? God said, I ain't gonna take it away. Verse 5 through 8. David slipped over to Saul's camp one night to look around. Saul and Abner, son of Ner, the commander of his army, were sleeping inside a ring formed by the slumbering warriors. Who will volunteer to go in there with me? David asked Ahimelech the Hittite and Abishai, son of Zerah, Joab's brother. I'll go with you, Abishai replied. So David and Abishai went right into Saul's camp and found him asleep with his spear stuck in the ground beside his head. Abner and the soldiers were lying asleep around him. David been here before. David got another opportunity to take King Saul out. A second opportunity. But this is also familiar territory with David because he also got somebody in his ear telling him the opposite of what the Lord is telling him to do. That is one of the most annoying things that I experience right now. Is somebody picking up the phone, jumping in my inbox, trying to tell me to do the opposite of what the Lord has told me. But let me tell you something. I ain't saying I ain't got no blind spots. But I don't think you can just hit me up and call me and tell me something that my mama done told me. I know my mama. If my mama want to give me a message, she'll pick up the phone and call me and say, baby, how you doing, baby? What you been eating on? How you doing? You making sure you pay all your bills? Mama ain't never missed a bill. What are you talking about? But keep talking. If my mama want to, if my daddy want, hey, what's up, Red man? You hanging tough, son? Yeah, how you doing, man? I was just checking in with you. Did I catch you at a bad time? That's if my daddy called me. So if the Lord has already told me something, don't think that you're going to be able to tell me the opposite of what he already told me. Period. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to listen. It sounds rude, but I'm not going to listen. Because I didn't get to the point where I'm at now listening to folks. And that ain't even me being arrogant. That's how God trained me. He said, I don't want you to listen to nobody but me. Period. And if they do say something to you, you bring it back to me before you make any moves. Because I'm telling you, in this 1 Samuel 26, I ain't heard no pastor, no preacher, no apostle, no evangelist, nobody say nothing about King Saul being no thorn. This ain't the stuff that I give y'all didn't come from no person. God trained me to not listen to people. Am I too good to listen to them? No, and I know God can speak through people. But I'm just saying the likelihood of me saying, oh yes, that sounds just like the Lord. Probably not. I'm probably going to be more annoyed than anything. Because I don't need the Spirit of the Lord told me to tell you messages. I don't need the Spirit of the Lord told me phone calls. I don't need the Spirit of the Lord told me text messages. I ain't gonna listen. It ain't because I'm stubborn. Sort of, kind of. But thank you, Aunt. That's how God trained me. I'm sorry. Like this, when I was listening to people, I got rebuked. So I have to listen to God. David ain't listened to Abishai either. Abishai said, I'll take him out. David said in verse 9, no. You talk about me, talk about David. Because David said, no. Don't jump in my face trying to tell me, the Spirit of the Lord told me to tell you. Only person allowed to do that is my sister Demetria. I'll listen to her. If your name ain't Demetria, I probably ain't gonna listen to you, no cap. David said, no, don't unalive him. For who can remain innocent after attacking the Lord's anointed one? Surely the Lord will strike Saul down someday, or he will die of old age or in battle. The Lord forbid that I should unalive the one he has anointed. But take his spear and that jug of water beside his head, and then let's get out of here. So David took the spear and jug of water that were near Saul's head. Then he and Abishai got away with anyone seeing them or even waking up, because the Lord had put Saul's men into a deep sleep. Now, I'm not saying that this was wise for David to do this, to go into enemy territory, 3,000 soldiers with him and Abishai. I don't think that's wise, but maybe the Lord told him to do that. It ain't up to me to determine that, but the word don't say that the Lord told him to do it. But we see right here where even if we make some sus decisions, God still will protect us. Y'all remember when David made a bad decision? He went to the church, he ate the bread, and he asked Ahimelech for a sword, and he lied to Abimelech at the church 2 or 3 times. And then after that, he went to Gath. He went to the unbelievers. And the unbelievers said, "Nah, we don't want you here in our land." That was God's divine protection. You remember when Saul was about to run up on David, and then all of a sudden Saul just started prophesying? Saul don't even really believe in God, but because God was protecting David, Saul and his men just started prophesying. You remember when David was almost ran up on by King Saul again, and then Jonathan said, "Bro, I'll look out for you." Jonathan. So we got Jonathan, we got prophesying, we got the people rejecting him at Gath. And y'all remember last time when he was about to run up on Nabal and Abigail, beautiful Abigail, stopped him? Abigail said, "My Lord." I got time. What did Abigail say? She said, "Now, my Lord, as surely as the Lord lives and you yourself live, since the Lord has kept you from unaliving and taking vengeance into your own hands, let all your enemies and those who try to harm you be as cursed as Nabal is." Once Abigail got through with David, David was ready to unalive everybody. David said, "Praise the Lord." That was God's divine protection. Prophesying. Jonathan. The people rejected him. Abigail. Now look, a deep sleep. A deep sleep. Men are protectors and providers. When you making dumb decisions like this, I don't care how big your husband is. I don't care how many muscles he got. I don't care how many pistols he got. I don't care about none of that. He can't protect you from nothing like this. That's why we have to depend on God to be our protection. It's in the Bible. God's supposed to be our protection. So he allowed that to happen to you and you got pissed off, but could it have been God was protecting you? He put these men in a deep sleep. That's in the Bible. We don't get to pick and choose how God protects us. Because your man can only protect you with a pistol. A demon don't care nothing about no pistol. Depression don't care nothing about that stick. None. Care how many, y'all. Keep reading. Verse 13 through 17. David climbed the hill opposite the camp until he was at a safe distance. Then he shouted down to the soldiers and to Abner, son of Ner. Wake up, Abner. Who is it? Abner demanded. So David ran up on King Saul. And he ain't unalive him, but he took his spear and his jug and he went to a distance. So he screamed out, wake up, Abner. Who is it? Well, Abner, you're a great man, aren't you? When all of the nation is there, anyone is mighty. So why haven't you guarded your master the king when someone came to unalive him? This isn't good at all. I swear by the Lord that you and your men deserve to die because you failed to protect your master, the Lord's anointed. Look around. Where are the king's spear and the jug of water that were beside his head? Saul recognized David's voice and called out, is that you, my son David? That fake talk. That fake talk gets me every single time. Some of these folks that y'all ha-ha and kikiing, you know they fake. I'm blessed and highly favored. This Lord's so good to me. Same folks be gossiping about you soon as you pull out the church. Oh, I'm so happy to see you. So happy to see you. Welcome to our church. Welcome. We're so happy. Come on in. We got some crackers and we got some coffee over here for you. Just come on in. Praise and worship is going to start in just a minute. And we're just so delighted to have you here. Just make yourself at home. If you want to take your hat off and your shoes off, just come on in. That's how, I ain't talking to you, I'm talking about King Saul. That's how King, it's in the Bible. It just said it right there. Hold on. He was like, is that my son, David? I'm just playing. David been here before. David has been here before. Because I'll prove it to you. Chapter 24, verse 16. When David had finished speaking, Saul called back, is that really you, my son David? The same dude who trying to unalive me talking about, is that you, my son David? I'm going to keep reading. Is that really you, my son David? Then he began to cry. He began to cry. God is training David right here with this King Saul. This is how God, thank you, Holy Spirit. This is how God trains kings. This is how God trains queens. Sometimes he'll have you sit under a King Saul. A bad supervisor. A bad pastor. A bad parent. A bad coach. He training you to start to be able to evaluate and analyze people's hearts, not their lips. See, this is training. This training, bro. I see what your mouth say, but I see your heart. I see you jump in my inbox and say, "Oh man, you're so wonderful. The way you give the word is so good." But I see your heart though. I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm gonna double tap it. Bap, bap. But I see your heart. I don't care nothing about none of that. I went through training like David. I don't care what your lips say. I don't care what your text message, DMs, none of that. I don't care about none of that. I don't say nothing. I see it. I don't care what you put in the comments. I see it. I see your heart. I'm in the Bible. I went through training like David. David said, I ain't listening to your lips. God teaches his kings and queens to examine hearts, not lips. God teaches his kings and queens to examine hearts, not lips. Words don't impress me. Bobby Valentino said, words don't mean that. Bobby Valentino said, words don't mean that much to me. I think that's how I go. Then Bobby Valentino sang that. Bobby V, my boy. Words don't mean that much to me. What was that, Bobby V? Verse 18. David said, why are you chasing me? What have I done? What is my crime? But now let my Lord the king listen to his servant. If the Lord has stirred you up against me, then let him accept my offering. But if this is simply a human scheme, then may those involved be cursed by the Lord, for they have driven me from my home, so I can no longer live among the Lord's people. And they have said, go worship pagan gods. Must I die on foreign soil, far from the presence of the Lord? Why has the king of the nation come out to search for a single flea? Why does he hunt me like a partridge on the mountains? Now, David, my boy, you were doing good. You were doing good, bro. I was with you till you said that part, because I think this is something that I have to often remind people, and I have to often say, bro. I think you made that up. Yeah, yeah. I think you made it up, bro. I mean, you said some good stuff starting off, but that little part right there that they forced you to go worship pagan gods and die on foreign soil. I don't. You made that up, bro. Yeah, you made that up. It's some truth. You got a little truth in there, and you got a little lie. So this is what I always encourage people when they are listening to someone that has the state of mind like David right now. If it's a lot of truth, if it's some truth and some lie, I'm throwing it all away, all of it. Cause David, I think I just see something wrong with that statement right there. Cause I don't remember nobody saying go worship no pagan gods, and I don't remember anything saying you go die on foreign soil. You're talking wrong. You're anointed king. Why are you talking about dying? If you haven't became king yet, why are you saying the wrong stuff? Some of us saying the wrong stuff. Faith comes by hearing, and you hearing, oh, I'm so tired. It's so hot outside. I just so sick of this job. Bruh, don't nobody want to hear that. Stop throwing up on people. Why do we think it is okay? And I know the counselors told you this. And I know the coaches probably, the life coaches probably told you that you should vent. But let me tell you something. Let's just not go around throwing up on people just because your counselor said you need to get it out. Folks dealing with their own stuff. Everybody got some fear or anxiety or depression that they dealing with. But you just go hit people up and say, hey, let me throw up on you real quick. And then I'm going back to work. But I'm going back to work though, man. I'm finna go to the gym, but and now I'm sitting here with your throw up and you going about your business. You ain't ask me how I was doing. You didn't ask me what my state of mind? Can you handle what I'm about to say? Before we do that, please stop throwing up on people and please stop throwing up on social media. That's why you have the Lord. He can handle your throw up. But we just think that people just want to deal with our throw up because they're pastors or preachers or teachers, but they're humans first. Can you at least ask them, hey, I'm having a hard time. Do you have time to sit and talk to me? I got something I want to get off my chest. You good? Can you handle this? We don't care. We don't care. We just go inbox them and write about 4 or 5 paragraphs and then go back to sleep. You probably should have wrote them 4 or 5 paragraphs to God. I don't mind helping people, but I am human. I ain't saying nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying this is something to think about. This is something to consider because we are encouraged to just throw up on people. I ain't saying I can't handle it. I'm just saying, did you do that to God first before you did it on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram? Just asking a question. David, you ain't talking right, my boy. Verse 21 through 25. And I ain't saying don't do it. What I'm saying is that's something that we need to think about as believers. Because he's raising up a people that go to him first. Throw up on him. Cast your cares on him. That's what the Bible says. Just something to think about. Hope you're not offended. Verse 21 through 25. Tori, you got to have a hard conversation. Leave that for the end, though. Good question. Then Saul confessed, I have sinned. Come back home, my son, and I will no longer try to harm you. For you value my life today. I have been a fool and very, very wrong. Cap. Here's your spear, O king. Let one of your young men come over and get it. The Lord gives his own reward for doing good and for being loyal. And I refuse to unalive you even when the Lord placed you in my power. For you are the Lord's anointed one. Now may the Lord value my life even as I have valued yours today. May he rescue me from all my troubles. And Saul said to David, blessings on you, my son David. You will do many heroic deeds and you will surely succeed. Then David went away and Saul returned home. Saul talking real good as usual. He talking real good. But I'm a little bit concerned about David. I don't really like how he talking right here. He making up stuff. He talking about pagan gods. He's talking about death. I don't really like that. I understand that when you have been running for as long as he's been running and fighting and fighting and fighting, and you get to the point where you say, God, I'm tired, and your thoughts are all over the place. And I'm talking about we start to make up stuff in our head. David making up stuff in his head. I'm going to challenge you as I challenged you before. When you start making up stuff in your head, cast down those imaginations and any high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. What is the knowledge of God? What has God said about that situation? What has God said about David's situation? You the king. You the king, you won't die. You'll be king over my chosen people. So instead of saying, oh, they have ran me to go worship pagan gods and I'm going to die on foreign soil, you got to repeat the word of the Lord. The Lord said, I'm going to be king of God's chosen people. Period. Unless I become king, I can't die. I can't be king on foreign land. I got to be king over this land. So yeah, I may be in foreign land right now, but I'm going to evict. I don't know how God gonna do it. I don't know. I don't know. But God, I'm telling you what you told me. You said I was gonna be king over your chosen people. So you got to work this thing out, even if you don't take it away. When you get into this mindset, when you start to make up stuff and saying stuff other than what the Lord has revealed to you, you got to run back to the Father. I'm talking about real fast. Run back to him on your face, in your sermons, logging on here, prayer, fasting, go to church, have a mentor. You got to run back to the Father real fast, because your thoughts gonna mess you up. Father real fast, because your thoughts gonna mess you up. Let's go. Chapter 27. This is a short chapter. You got to run back to the Father and remember what God told you. Chapter 27. But David kept thinking to himself. Bad. I knew it. I felt it in chapter 26. I saw it in chapter 26. I saw the red flags. But David kept thinking to himself, someday Saul is going to get me. You're talking wrong, my boy. The best thing I can do is escape to the Philistines. No, David. Then Saul will stop hunting me for me in this territory, and I will finally be safe. David, you talking wrong, bro. You gotta watch your mouth. And sometimes, I hope y'all don't get offended. Some of us can't watch our mouth. Some of us would I'm trying to put this in a pleasant way. It's from God, though. It's from God. Some of us would do a better job of watching our mouth if we didn't talk so much. It's hard to watch your mouth when you walk in the room and we see you, baby. We see you. We see you. We see you. It's hard to watch your mouth when you step in the room and you just automatically start talking. The word says, slow to speak, quick to listen. You quick to speak. We quick to speak and slow to listen. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. And it's going to take some retraining, and we have to, but I'm telling you, like it's going, I promise you, it's going to make your life a lot easier if you allow the Holy Spirit to tell you to be, practice it. Practice it at work, practice it on the phone, practice it with your interactions with other people, practice it in the comment section. Now, I ain't saying be no introvert like me. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is a lot of times we make our life a little bit more difficult when we just talk a lot. Now, all your business on social media. Everybody know what you ate today. Everybody. Chicken nuggets and french fries. Sweet and sour sauce. We know that. Everybody knew what you wore to work today. Everybody. Everybody know what you work at. Everybody know where you work at. Everybody know what your bedroom look like. Everyone knows what you drink. Everything. Just practice. So next time you get your chicken nuggets and your french fries and you be like, you know what? I ain't even gonna post it. I'm not gonna post it. Cause I'm working on just being quiet in this season. I had to do this. I had to do it. I promise you. But it was the Holy Spirit. I know it may seem that I'm being rude, but I'm trying to help you. Because a lot of times we end up in toxic relationships because you threw up on the first date. You told to do all your business. I just got to tell my testimony. Gotta, I got to tell my testimony. And Buddy sent back just like this. Oh, yo, oh, you know what? I don't even have to go on no date with her. I don't. She just told me her testimony on TikTok. Okay. Yo, okay. I know exactly how to get her. Oh, second video? Okay, let me read. Let me watch this second video. She got 15 on here. First video, write that down. Second video. Oh, she crying. Oh, I got her now. She crying. Oh, I got her, bro. I know exactly how to get her. Yeah. Okay. This type man she like? Okay. She want a man of God. I know how to pretend to be that. I can be a man of God for 2 weeks. Do you see why I be like, be quiet? I promise you, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm really not. I'm coming from a good place. But I used to be that dude that'll take you down through there, and you just gave me the blueprint because you talking. I'm just sitting at dinner like this. I don't talk a lot anyway. I'll just be chilling. I ain't saying nothing. You just talking away. I'm over here eating my wings. I ain't saying that. I'm just chilling. I know your whole life. And all you know are my hobbies. And I'm just not talking about romantically. I'm talking about period. Learn to go into new environments. It's going to help you. It's going to help you watch your mouth. Because David is talking real reckless right now. And what he's saying don't have nothing to do with the Lord revealed to him. He just saying stuff, and faith comes by hearing. Faith comes by hearing. Faith comes by hearing, and you're hearing yourself say stuff that goes against the word of the Lord. You don't have to have an Abishai. You don't have to have a toxic circle. Your mouth is saying the wrong stuff. Until we learn how to say the right stuff, not gonna get stuck there. I'm sorry. So David took his 600 men and went over and joined Achish, son of Maok, the king of Gath. Hold up. So David took his 600 men and went over to join who? Achish, son of Maok, the king of Gath. Bro, that's where Goliath was from. So you going to hang out with the unbelievers? And you taking Abigail with you. David brought his 2 wives along with him, Ahinoam of Jezreel and Abigail, Nabal's widow from Carmel. Word soon reached Saul, and David fled to Gath, so he stopped hunting for him. This is a horrible decision, David. The last thing you should do is run to the unbelievers. The last thing you should do is get that dumb advice from these dumb podcasts. You know what? Confession. And I consider myself a pretty mature saint. I don't know everything. But I had to unfollow. I was blocking people on TikTok. And I ain't really I'm blocking people who get on their platforms and be giving erroneous teaching and spitting and hollering and sweating all over their lives. That's the people that I'm blocking. I ain't blocking the people who don't know no better. I'm blocking other content creators who are erroneous teaching, toxic teaching, and they spitting, screaming, sweating, doing all that extra. I'm blocking them. I don't want to see it. But the Holy Spirit convicted me today. I had to block spiritual word on Instagram. Block them. Got to. Bro, that stuff they be posting agitate my spirit. And I'm going to challenge y'all. If you really about that life, block anybody like spiritual word, shade room. Bro, that stuff be toxic. Because I promise you, if you aren't mature and secure in your spirituality and mental stability and emotional intelligence, you go think all men are dogs and all women are no good. If you sit up and watch that every single day, they don't post no good stuff, no edifying stuff, and that balloon pop, you got to be, something got to be wrong with you for you to go walk in a room and 10 women right there go pop a balloon soon as you walk in to tell you I can't date you because your beard ain't lined up the way I want it to. I encourage you to block them. Because I'm telling you, we get more spiritual word in shade room than we do Bible. I'm just telling you what the Holy Spirit told me to do. I would advise you to do the same. Because it's absolutely horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But David is going to hang out with folks who post on spiritual word and shade room. Unbelievers. That's the worst thing you can do, my boy. Proverbs. You ain't got to go there, but I'm going to read it to you. Because this is exactly what David is doing right here. He's not consulting with the Lord. He's consulting with his own thoughts. In Proverbs 3, verse 5 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. Don't be impressed with your own wisdom. Instead, fear the Lord and turn away from evil. Then you will have a healing for your body and strength for your bones. Do not lean on your own understanding. Get a mentor. Go to the Lord. Go to the pastor. Get you something. Don't lean until you mature spiritually. Don't lean on into your own understanding. Right here, David is leaning on his own understanding. It's so unfortunate because he's making up stuff in his head. Whenever you make up stuff in your head, you know that you're leaning on your own understanding and not the word of the Lord. You just made it up. Did I just make that up? We just make stuff up. Just make it up, even with simple stuff. So when you start to make stuff up, say, you know what? Did I just make that up? I'm tripping. I'm tripping. Oh, Lord. I'm tweaking. I'm tweaking. But when you have conditioned yourself to think like that from a place of fear, you start making up stuff like David. David is responding the way he is responding because he hadn't been at the feet. He hadn't been spending time with God, and he is allowing his fear to overthink or overtake his thinking. So even in common conversations, be careful not to just make up stuff. Even if it's not an in-depth conversation. Even if y'all just playing around, be like, did I just make that up? I did. Yeah, I got to work on that because I do be overthinking. Because if you don't practice it with the small stuff, in the more serious stuff, you're still going to allow yourself to make up stuff. And then your man or your significant other is going to be like, what? Where did you get that from? And then Some of us don't even have the maturity to even have the conversation and let your partner or whoever you in a relationship know that you got an attitude with them, and they don't know you got an attitude with them because you just made something up in their head and you mad at them, and they kind of like, what you mad at? Nothing. Ain't nothing wrong. Bruh, something wrong with you. What are you talking about? Nothing. I'm almost done. This stuff we got to work on, man, because these relationships around here straight trash. And we quick to blame the other person when it's us that's got the issue. I'm sick of it. So David went to freaking Gath with the unbelievers, the same place Goliath from, the Philistines, the enemy. One day David said to Achish, if it is all right with you, we would rather live in one of the country towns instead of here in the royal city. So Achish gave him the town of Ziklag, which still belongs to the kings of Judah to this day, and they lived there among the Philistines for a year and 4 months. David and his men spent their raiding the Jeshurites, the Girzites, and the Amalekites, people who had lived near Shur, toward the land of Egypt since ancient times. David did not leave one person alive in the villages he attacked. He took the sheep, goats, cattle, donkeys, camels, clothing before returning home to see Achish. Where did you make your raid today? Achish would ask. And David would reply, against the south of Judah, the Jerahmeelites and the Kenites. No one was left alive to come to Gath and tell where he had already been. This happened again and again while he was living among the Philistines. Achish believed David and thought to himself, by now the people of the nation must hate him bitterly. Now he will have to stay here and serve me forever. David was anointed king of God's chosen people. But in this moment, his inability to trust God in this moment, the inability to trust God in this moment is why you guys stay close to God, because it takes one moment, one email, one text message, one phone call from you falling off the rails. David has fallen off of the rails. My boy is in Gath. How in the world have you gone back to Gath with the unbelievers? And not only did you go back, you stayed. You got married. You got pregnant. You signed a contract. Because you ran back to the world. And now, David has become a glorified slave. How you have been anointed king, and now because you don't trust God, you are now a glorified slave. My boy Achish said, now I will have David stay here and serve me forever. Achish supposed to be serving you. Achish supposed to be serving you. But because you don't trust God, you're going to be serving him. You're supposed to be a king, but you're a slave. You're supposed to be a queen, but you're a glorified slave. Not to mention you got Abigail over there, my boy. What is you doing? You don't need to put Abigail in that type of harm, in that type of environment. What are you doing? Your inability to trust God is impacting the people around you. Your kids, your husband, your wife, your mama, your daddy, your auntie, your cousins, your sister, your brother. David's inability to trust God is impacting his wives. David made a bad decision because he ain't understanding that King Saul is his thorn. You running away from your thorn. And you running back to the world because you're trying to run away from a thorn. You're running back to your ex because you're trying to run away from a thorn. You're going back to your hometown because you're trying to run away from a thorn. This is for training. I know it don't feel good. That's why in the kingdom, we have to mature to where we aren't led by our feelings. Because you are led by your feelings, you finna end up in Gath. I know it's uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable for me at that employer, but God said, nope. This is your thorn, my boy. This is what's going to keep you on your face. This is what's going to keep you from falling asleep when you read in the Bible. This is going to prevent you from being distracted when you on Reggie Taylor 704 YouTube. You watch 5 minutes and you're over here on TikTok. Then you go back to the YouTube video. Now you're over here on Facebook. Now you back, like you can't stay locked in for an hour and a half because you're so easily distracted. But let me tell you something, when that thorn start pricking you, I guarantee you, that thorn start pricking you, you going to be very focused. Yeah, you going to be very focused. Yeah. You ain't going to be hitting me up saying, I couldn't make it to your TikTok live because I had to. You gonna be here. You gonna start sacrificing some stuff because you gonna need that word, because that thorn gonna start pricking you and you think that it's the devil, but it's the God saying, okay, I gotta keep you humble. Matter of fact, I gotta humble you some more, because right now you just living your best life. You go to church a little bit, you read your word a little bit, you pray a little bit, you fast for 2 hours. Okay, cool, but I gotta stir you a little bit because this thorn that I got, yeah, it's from me. It ain't from hell. Yeah, it's from me. Yeah, that thorn gonna keep you humble. That thorn gonna draw you closer to me. So yeah, that's why, yeah, we saw it. David got a thorn. Saul got a thorn. And my boy Paul Wall got a thorn. And for these folks that y'all follow, that think that they are holier than thou, they got a thorn too. They got a messenger from hell. They got something that they struggle with. We all got them. You know, if Paul got them, had one, you go have one. I know I have one. And I'm going to go as far as to say that some of us got more than one. I think I have more than one thorn. Now, I no longer have that thorn as an employer, but there's other areas in my life where I'm like, Lord, why don't you just fix this? A click of the button, you can fix this. Snap of the finger, you can fix this. One blink, you can fix this. One word, you can fix this. If you can't fix it, I know you can take it away. But God said, no, my grace is sufficient. If God hasn't fixed it, if he ain't fixed it, if he ain't taken it away, could it be he's using it to keep you humble? He's using it to develop you. It may not feel good, but it's him. It may not feel good, but it's him. But don't be guilty of misinterpreting a situation the way that I did and the way that David is. See, I didn't interpret the bad employer as a thorn. Because when things get rough, we think, okay, it's time for me to leave. You're a runner, you're a track star. Instead of consulting with the Lord, as soon as stuff get difficult, that's why we can't sustain healthy relationships. Because as soon as something get difficult, we dip. As soon as we get offended, we dip. As soon as our feelings get hurt, we dip. God said, I sent this into your life to develop you. Because your feelings got hurt, you dip. Nah, we got to toughen up. Yeah, we got to toughen up. Period. Sorry. I know they want me to be a little bit more gentle. Reggie, you just be a little bit too harsh sometimes. Man, the enemy out here busting our head, and you want me to say goo goo gaga? He ain't saying goo goo gaga. He taking our marriages out. He taking our kids out. He taking our sisters out. He taking our fathers out. And you want to goo goo gaga? We ain't got time to goo goo gaga, bro. We got to toughen up and be like, you know what? I know this hurt, but let me get my chin up. Man or a woman, boy or girl. This passive Christianity that we have exercised for the last 200 years ain't about that life. Because we're guilty of saying we need to go back how it used to be. No, we do not. No, we don't. I don't know. I remember when marriages were good. When? The Garden of Eden? When were marriages good? I know you, I don't remember. I need receipts. When were marriages good? We don't have a blueprint besides the Bible. So I want my marriage to look like yours, and I don't want to do ministry like yours. Let's go back and sing the old hymnal song. Man, don't nobody want to sing them slave songs. Listen to the lyrics of those hymns. Sound just like David. I'm coming up on the rough side. Do you, hold on, bro. Do you, what? There's a leak in this old building and my soul. What? I ain't finna sing that. Y'all can sing it. I am not about to sing that every day. And you ain't finna make me old. A leak. Ain't no leak in my building. No leaks. I ain't coming up on no rough side of no mountain. We still singing that stuff. No power. No authority. If God had taken it away, it's probably a thorn. We just been looking at it wrong. It could be a thorn. I'm not saying it is a thorn, but it could be a thorn. We've just been responding wrong. Because it's equivalent to going to the gym. I went to the gym today. I did chest. And I worked because I've been accustomed to it. I know how to respond. But for some of us, we don't know how to, this is our first time in a spiritual gym. So as we're working out, we feel a little burn. As we're working out, our heart rate starts to increase. As we're working out, our heartbeat starts to increase and we start to sweat a little bit. You don't go to the emergency room and say, I went to the gym and my muscle burning. And my heart, it's going real fast. No, that's what happens when you go to a gym. See, you seeing it wrong. You think you need to go to the emergency room. No, this is for your development. So yeah, you go sweat. Yeah, your heartbeat is going to increase. Yeah, your muscles go burn. But they're just part of the process. You don't supposed to quit. You don't supposed to be like, you know what? That hurt. I'm done. No, you go back the next day and you develop and you getting stronger. Your bones getting stronger. Your physique is working out. Your endurance, cardiovascular endurance is increasing. Your skin is better. All of that good stuff. But you don't go to the emergency room and say, my muscles sore. That's how we do in the spirit because we don't have language for the thorns. We got people out here not telling you about the thorns that God has sent to you. So you constantly say the devil is busy. It's spiritual warfare. No. You're calling it the wrong thing. But I don't care what you call it. He ain't gonna fix it. So far with your teachings on 1 Samuel, what is the main point you want us to gain from it? Process. David was anointed king and look at his process. That middle part. He was anointed king And Samuel said, you're going to be the king of Israel. But God didn't tell him about the process. God didn't tell him he was going to have to lead little Pee-wee. He didn't tell him, I'm going to have to take you away from your family. He didn't tell him that I'm going to have to send you to the palace. He didn't tell him that you're going to have to defeat Goliath. He didn't tell him that you're going to have to be chased around. You're going to have a thorn. You're going to live in this cave, then that cave. You're going to fall into this, and then you're going to marry this woman, and then you're going to have to leave her, and then Samuel is going to die, and then Jonathan is going to be close to you, but I'm going to take him away too. And then you got to move over here. You're going to move in 7 different places. And then as you're in this place, you're going to be lonely. You're going to be in these caves. And while you're in these caves, you got to write psalms to me. You got to sing to me, David. You got to get your relationship with me right before I allow you to be king. I got to help you manage your emotions. I got to help you in your development, how to speak to people. I got to reconcile things with your family that I took. I got to teach you all that. I got to teach you to not respond to people and not interact with people based off of their lips, but their hearts. I got to teach you that. I got to teach you how to be loyal and respect authority. I know King Saul is trying to unalive you, but I don't want you to lay a finger on him. I want you to know how to submit, how to humble yourself, and how to bow. I want to teach you to not listen to your circle. I want to teach you to listen to me. See, I ain't going to tell you all that part, because if I tell you all that part in the middle about that process, you may quit. I'm just going to tell you the ending. So what I'm telling you, if God is giving you a prophecy, a dream, or a vision, this middle part, we can learn a lot from this middle part. The process, the season of obscurity. That's the takeaway from 1 Samuel so far. Reposting this on my YouTube, Reggie Taylor 704. Follow me over my other social media platforms, hashtag Reflections of Reggie. Y'all better go over there to that YouTube, because I'm about to start going live on YouTube. And we saw where Instagram and Facebook shut down the other day. It won't surprise me if TikTok eventually start doing it on the regular. They already locking people up. So if y'all want to be lazy and not go over there to YouTube, you just may be missing out. Go over there to YouTube. Is already in the making. We'll be going live on YouTube and TikTok. I'm going to try to go live on more than one platform. So if y'all have an unction to give, my Cash App is REGG1414. My PayPal is REGG1414. My Venmo is Reggie-Taylor-14. Well, I appreciate y'all hanging out tonight. Hopefully this word wasn't too heavy. I don't think it was too heavy. I did say some things in here that may have been a little triggering, but I'm serious about us learning to be quiet. I'm dead serious about that, because I see too many of us talking too much, and we're mismanaging moments because we're talking. I will not be around a man like Hart Ramsey or Tony Evans and do the majority of talking. I will not be in the presence of God doing the majority of talking. We have to know how to manage moments. You're mismanaging moments by running your mouth. Learn to be quiet and listen. It's the word. Slow to speak, quick to listen. Why we got it backwards? Mismanaging moments. Let's work on that. All right. I know we got a lot to say, but let's not make the journey more difficult than it could really be. By just, I know it's a process. So God, we thank you for this word tonight. We thank you for just being God all by yourself. God, to be honest with you, we thank you for the thorn. Even though it don't feel good, we thank you for the word, for the thorn. We thank you for the things and the people and the situations that you have placed into our lives, that you have told us tonight that you are not going to take it away. So fix our vision, God, so we'll know how to respond properly. Let us not give credit to the enemy for things that you are doing. We saw you do it with Saul. We saw that you're doing it with David. And we saw you do it with Paul Wall. So if we're going to make an impact in the kingdom as well as society, it's just something that we're going to have to go through. And we thank you that you love us enough to give us a thorn, to keep us humble, to keep us from being arrogant and walking in condemnation. We thank you for the thorn, even though it's difficult. And we know that you wore a crown of thorns upon your head. So we know that we have to carry our cross, but we also have to carry our thorns. Let us respond properly to the thorns. Let us not run from them. And if we do feel like we need to run, let us consult with you. And we have to understand that if you ain't saying nothing, let us not do nothing. And God, we will not make a move unless you say something. And you confirming. And we know that you are confirming, God. You are a God that do not mind repeating himself. You are not offended with us asking God, show me again. Tell me again. Do it again. You're not offended by that. We just want to make sure that we're being obedient to your word. And we thank you for this word, for we know that your word is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. Continue to keep us still and continue to allow your spirit to govern our mouth. Quick to listen, slow to speak. Quick to listen, slow to speak. Quick to listen, slow to speak. Slow us down, oh God, so we won't mismanage moments and opportunities to learn of you. We know that you are a teacher. We know that you are a mentor. We know that you are a discipler. God, just reprogram and renew our mind to where we'll start to turn to you before we turn to man. Thank you, God, that you are working on us, developing us, and molding us into who you have called us to be. And our identity will be tied to you. But also, Lord, teach us to not give in to our emotions and not make up stuff in our heads. Renew our minds. Let us not lean on our own understanding and our own wisdom. Thank you, God, that you are interrupting our patterns of thoughts and thinking that are causing us to be led astray and led to Gath and led to unbelievers and led to things that you have pulled us out from. We thank you for doing that. We're coming to you first, God. We're coming to you first. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Tomorrow, 7:30, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm assuming the fellas go be on. If they aren't, you already know your boy go come through. If it's the Lord's willing. I'm going to make it do what it do if I got to do it alone like I did last Friday. But of course, I'm going to give y'all the heads up. But y'all have any questions? If something I said didn't sit right with you or didn't make sense, or if you were offended by something that I said. I'm developing, so a lot of this stuff that I'm learning on the fly, I know I can be a little harsh sometimes, and that's something that I'm having to work on. Because sometimes I don't be caring about none of it. But I hope you understand where I'm coming from. And I understand that people are going to get offended. That's just part of what I do. But I don't want to mishandle anyone. Not for real, for real. But hey, we're a family, we're a community. We got to be able to let each other know, our shortcomings or things we all can work on. Because I don't want y'all to think that I got it all together, because I don't. And I'm working on everything. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Holla at your boy.